Hello and welcome to NJ Thrive's Small Business Webinars. You are attending our weekly webinar created to help New Jersey small business owners start, grow, and thrive. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, and if you attend our Thursday webinars and you're thinking, today is Tuesday, what's with the new webinar? You're still at the right place. We are just branching out and doing new things. So just to introduce myself and the network, I am Uzma Sheikh, a consultant here at NJSBC. And NJSBC stands for New Jersey Small Business Development Centers Network. We are a statewide program powered by the SBA and partners to help small businesses in New Jersey with mainly three key things. No cost small business consulting, training and events starting at $0, just like this one that you're attending, and exclusive small business resources. If you look at the map on the right there, that's the state of New Jersey, and where you see the little tiny SBDC logos is where our regional centers are located. So if you're interested, you're more than welcome to attend our njsbdc.com website and check out the resources. In the meantime, while we introduce ourselves, please go in the chat, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, where you're from, what your small business is about, any contact information you'd like to share. You never know, you might find your supporter, cheerleader, next person, investor, who knows. So what is happening on Tuesdays with NJ Thrives? We are doing how to start a business with $0 NJSBDC support. And that is a multi-session webinar series created to provide startup assistance, and help New Jersey's aspiring entrepreneurs start, grow, and thrive. So this will be happening every Tuesday or every other Tuesday for new business starts. What is on the agenda? This is very common for our webinars. So we share some headlines from our small business community in New Jersey that are happening, whether it's with our partners or the SBA. First headline is it's a press release from the SBA. And all these links, by the way, will be shared in the chat in a moment. First goes, Biden-Harris administration takes historic step in expanding access to capital and filling lending gaps in underserved communities. This was released on November 1st. New licenses mark milestone achievement in Biden-Harris administration efforts to increase access to capital. And all the details are available on what the milestone markers have been, and you can read it at your own leisure. Just will show it to you. The second link is from NJEDA, released just yesterday, NJEDA to open applications for historic property reinvestment program. It's opening applications for the next round of funding for HPRP on Wednesday, November 29th. Created under the Recovery Act of 2020. This will close at 2 p.m. on Thursday, February 29th. If this is something of your interest, please go and check it out and apply. Third and final is from NJBIA, which is the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. $5 million in gains grants for apprenticeship programs available, also released yesterday. And they will hold a virtual information workshop this month regarding the growing apprenticeship, in non-traditional sectors gains grants that are now available. This will be held on November 20th at 1 p.m. and this is virtual. So if you'd like to register, please go on this link and register. On to our presentation, but before that, we have some housekeeping rules that we like to share with our audience. And those are, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A box. You will see there's a chat box and there's a Q&A box. We'd like to receive your questions in the Q&A box just so it helps us separate them and answer them during the Q&A session after. And if you'd like to receive the slides from our presenter, then you will have to complete a 3-minute survey and you'll receive them towards the end. And finally get to introduce you to Vanessa Schwartz, our NJSBC consultant, who is here to do this webinar for how to start a business with $0 NJSBC support. Vanessa, welcome, and thank you for doing this for us.
Thank you. Okay,
Please go ahead
great.
and share your screen.
Thank you so much. Okay, here we go. Helpful to start at the beginning. So here we go. Um, Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Uzma, for that lovely introduction, and thank you for joining. So, whether you are someone who is ready to take your hobby to the next level, or maybe you're interested in pursuing your side hustle, or maybe perhaps a professional in your own space and believe that it is time that you would like to venture into the world of entrepreneurship, you've come to the right place. And it is so very important that you have made the time to start educating yourself on the process, the costs, legal requirements, and tax consequences, which are all very critical components in starting a business and really can make the difference between a success or a failure. So, with that, I just want to say what we're doing today is we're trying to provide a little bit of education. It's just the start, not to be overwhelmed, but to start understanding the process and let you know that we here at the NJSBDC would love to walk you through the process one on one after today. So you'll listen to the presentation, you may have questions, but it does not end there. We'll show you how you can request counseling, and either myself or my colleague will be able to walk you through one on one, get that business formed, registered, and then from there, there are so many options to continue to work with us as you grow your business. I also want to add that if you need Spanish speaking counselor to assist you through the process, we can absolutely help you with that as well. So moving on, um, what I want to talk about today is a little bit about the different business structures that are available to you, the formation and registration process. Primarily, we will discuss the limited liability company, which is the LLC, but there are other business structures that we will touch upon so you understand the difference. And when you hear the terminology out in the business world, you're not confused and you understand maybe why you did choose the business structure that you end up choosing. We're going to talk a little bit about starting up and funding and cash management. Um, Sometimes there are state regulations that you must be aware of in certain industries that you might pursue, where to go find out more about that, the tax consequences of starting your own business, additional needs that may arise as you start your business and grow your business, and also next steps for down the road in terms of opportunity and growth. All of these items are items that we here as counselors can assist you with and can work with you as you start and grow your business. Okay. So there are several options to consider when you start your business. The simplest and the most common probably out there is what you would think of as a sole proprietorship. It's basically no different than you yourself, the person, going to your local county clerk's office and filing what is known as a trade name for your business. Trade names need to be unique in your county. It's relatively inexpensive. Fees probably vary between $50 and $60. You do not need a separate tax ID for your sole proprietorship. You can use your social security number. However, very oftentimes we might recommend that you consider going to the IRS to get a separate EIN, otherwise known as your employer identification number, to assign to your sole proprietorship, because that just gives you a little bit more security in terms of not having your social security number out there when you are working and maybe signing up for independent contractor deals. And it protects you, the individual, a little bit more. For personal banking, you can use your personal bank account. You can commingle your funds. Very simple. And the best part is that for a tax perspective, the income from your business, it's passed through to your personal tax return. You may use a Schedule C which is an attachment to your personal income tax return, which just basically shows your revenues and your expenses and ultimately your net income from your business, and no separate tax filing required for your business. But there is absolutely no liability protection if you were to be sued, if there was any sort of issue with your credit or having to pay out any payables. Your personal assets are potentially at risk, and it could be quite troublesome if you were to, say, unfortunately, lose your house, your personal income from a mishap that might happen with your business. So that leads us to, on a continuum in terms of liability protection, the next option would be what we uh, know as the LLC. It stands for Limited Liability Company. What's nice about the LLC is that it's not terribly expensive and it's not terribly difficult to form. The $128 goes straight to the New Jersey Division of Revenue and Treasury. It costs $75 a year to maintain that LLC. Once a year, you log into your business portal, you put your credit card information in, you pay your $75, and you are good for another year. You are required to obtain a tax ID number for your LLC from the IRS. That is free, does not cost anything. Please do not get mixed up when you're online trying to obtain an EIN. There are third party businesses or agencies out there that will trick you into thinking they are part of the government. They will ask for money and they will go out and generate an EIN on your behalf, which really would have cost you nothing had you gone to the IRS yourself. But luckily, if you work with us, we don't charge anything for our services, and we'd be able to walk you through start to finish and make sure that you are doing everything in correct fashion and that you're not being swindled at any given point by a third party. You are required to have a separate business banking account in order to funnel your sales and expenses from your business. You are basically, what that does is it separates yourself, the person, from your business. That gives you the limited liability. It gives you the asset protection that you are not commingling your personal assets with your business assets. And the other piece of an LLC is that you, as the owner of that business, you may choose how you wish to be taxed. We're going to get into that a little bit further in the presentation, and we won't get into it too deeply. You should certainly reach out to one of our consultants, and as we set up your LLC, we can explain it in more detail and make sure you're fully understanding of what this means. The last item is the corporation. If you're putting these businesses into buckets, it has the strongest liability protection. It's what we would consider probably the most cumbersome, potentially costly legal business entity that you can put together for your business. It does require some additional legalities, bylaws, board of directors, shareholder meetings, and it doesn't really lend itself to a small business. Not to say that there aren't reasons why your small business may decide to be incorporated, and we can review that offline. But I will give an example. Sometimes I have seen maybe those who are in transportation or trucking, or perhaps general construction or contracting. There's a certain industry standard to be a little bit more protected in terms of your liability protection. And there are vendors who only wish to really contract out with businesses that are incorporated due to that protection and due to generally going hand in hand with having more insurance protection for your company. The other big piece about being incorporated, which is can be a quite not ideal for your average small business is that you are required to have a separate tax return for a company. You will run your corporate numbers through a return. Your company, in its own right, will pay a corporate tax rate on the income, and then any money left over, it gets taxed again at the shareholder level. So it's known as that double taxation. And that ends up being not the greatest way to go when you're a small business. Both these items, in terms of their entity status, the LLC and the corporation, that is done fully online through the NJ portal. You can form legally and then register that business with the Division of Revenue and Treasury, which we will discuss in a little bit in more detail. But as opposed to, if you remember, we spoke about the sole proprietorship, where the trade name gets established at the county clerk's office. Just a little bit about the S Corp. You may have heard over time people decide or talk about that they want to be an S Corp. S Corps are not so much as a business entity in and of themselves. S Corps are more a decision on taxation. So you can be a C Corp and choose to be taxed as an S Corp, or you could be an LLC and choose to be taxed as an S Corp. Basically, what it does is the government will allow a small business who decides to become incorporated have the option to file for the S Corp status. That takes away that double taxation, allows you to let the income flow directly to your personal income tax, and um, it makes, I mean, there are some advantages to doing that, for sure. If you're an LLC, there are certain times in your business venture as you grow where being taxed as an S corp has some benefits as well. But that's something that we would talk about, more directly if you follow up with a counselor. Okay. So most of you are probably interested in the LLC. We say get it right the first time. Do not, if you can help, pay a third party for what you should and can do yourself. But the caveat there is sometimes it can be overwhelming. The portal can be a little confusing. We like to tell you that we're here to have you do it, you understand it, you be able to feel fully comfortable with how you are being formed and registered with the help of a counselor who will assist you start to finish. We want to make sure that you know the terminology, that you understand the difference, when someone asks you what kind of a company you are. I've heard so many times where you might see an LLC owner refer to themselves as a sole proprietorship. That's not exactly true. You're not. You're an LLC, but if you're the only owner, you're called a single member LLC. So what we want to do is make sure that you fully understand where to go for information, where to log in, where you may have questions, and understand at all times your obligations, your legal requirements, and how to keep your documents organized, and be able to know where electronically you might be able to find information about your business and how you are set up and structured. That goes along with maintaining good bookkeeping records, understanding some accounting terms, all items that we here at the SBDC hope to help you with through your journey. And the last thing I want to say about the formation and registration process is that in New Jersey, when you form your business, even when you go to the county clerk's office and say you just need a trade name and would like to be a sole proprietorship, that's the legal aspects of formation. There's also that final step that many people do forget about, that you also have to register in order to transact business at online at the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services. And that is when you tell New Jersey that you're formed and you're ready to work. and that is primarily for tax purposes. Okay, and there we go. That's the big reminder that in all of this, don't leave out that last step. We've had many problems in the past, especially during COVID, when we were trying to help companies get the grants and help that they needed. And even though they thought they were formed properly, what we learned is that they ultimately never registered their business. And that's why terminology is important. When people throw around the word registration, sometimes they think that means that they formed and means they're a New Jersey registered business. No, it just means that you're legally formed as a New Jersey limited liability company or sole proprietorship or even a corporation, but you're not registered to do business in the eyes of the New Jersey government until you make that last step and register your business. Okay, so if you work with us, one of the things we always want to be able to do is tell you what you will need to have in order to get started. So, in dealing with a limited liability company, we ask that you identify a unique business name in New Jersey. There's the link. You'll be able to go right on to the portal and you'll be able to do a business search to identify what name you would be able to use that is unique and not to be confused with having this name being trademarked or in that legal aspect. This is just to make sure that you are not competing legally with another company in the state where the names would confuse clients. The next thing you would need to have in order to form the business and register that business is that EIN, which we walk through the process with you at the irs.gov. Again, it is free. We will walk you through the process. You will get your tax ID, and then you'll be able to ultimately complete the process of forming and registering. At some point in the third part of the formation and registration time frame, when we're on the registration page, the state will ask you for your NAICS code and a New Jersey industry code. Basically, it's for statistical purposes. It's to keep the state aware of what new businesses are being formed, and we help you with that as well. We browse through the different codes that might identify what it is that you are doing. The other thing that you'll need to have is a registered agent. The registered agent could be yourself. You are allowed and permitted to use yourself as a registered agent, or you can hire a service to be your registered agent, or you can obtain a P.O. box at a post office as long as the post office has a legal address. You can use a post office box. The point of the registered agent is that there must be a New Jersey presence where you can receive mail. And in most cases, we can talk about your situation. You'll see many small business owners just use their home address and elect for themselves to be a registered agent. If you are more than one person, you'll need an operating agreement that is called a multi-member LLC. Member means owner in LLC terminology. So one of the things that the state does require is that you have an agreement in place that shows the terms of the business relationship. You do not have to have a lawyer draft it. There are templates online. We can talk you through and show you. Basically, you'll want to be able to outline what your initial contributions are to the business, what your profit sharing agreement is, and also very important, if you were to dissolve your business tomorrow, how would the division of assets and property be handled? I'm not sure exactly who asks for that operating agreement. I'm told that when you go to open up your business bank account, you might be asked to have an operating agreement presented. but it is required by the state if you're more than one person. The cost is just $125 online. You can use a credit or a debit card. There is the $350 processing fee. And the state also will allow you to use an e-check. And the last thing that you'll need to have is the names and addresses and social security numbers, plus whatever you have decided for your ownership percentage of the members, ready to be able to fill in when we get to that point in the process. The other thing you'll need to know when we go ahead and walk you through the process is, and this goes back to how you wish to be taxed. So the government, in allowing the LLCs to exist, never came up with its own tax filing process. They allow the owners to decide what is best for them in terms of tax filing. If you're a single member, you'll default straight to being taxed as if you were a sole proprietorship, which, if you recall, we discussed would be the Schedule C. If you are more than one person, the government asks that you file as a partnership. You're not a partnership, you're just filing as if you were a partnership. That's a Form 1065. The filing gets done for the company, and each of your respective percent income from the distribution will then get reported on what's known as a K-1 to your individual tax returns. Lastly, as an LLC, there is a time when it may be more tax advantageous for you to choose to be taxed as an S corp. That is not something that you would necessarily decide in a vacuum. We would always recommend that you speak to your accountant and understand if that is the proper way to go. Basically, what that does is it allows you as the business owner to now be an employee of your company. You can put yourself on a payroll, and it is at a certain threshold in net income for an LLC owner. It does reduce your self-employment taxes and could be more tax advantageous to have you do payroll deduction for yourself. The other thing you'll need to know is whether or not the sale of your goods and or services are subject to state sales tax. That is very easily found from, there's a number of resources later on in the presentation that you'll see. I have a link where you can go look up what it is that you're doing, selling. You normally would think of a consumer good being subject to state sales tax, which is correct. Some goods are exempt. And also, services are typically not subject to state sales tax, but there are exemptions there as well. Big example there is a house, if you're a cleaning service per se. Even though it is a service, if you were to go and clean a home or even commercial property, you would charge your rate plus state sales tax on the service. We would assist in explaining all that to you. We would explain how to go about and remit that sales tax to the state. And we would also discuss with you how you may make exempt purchases if you're purchasing goods to then sell, and ultimately you would be responsible for charging that sales tax. You as the business owner would have an option to purchase those products exempt from sales tax, because the ultimate payer of the sales tax is always the end user. Certain businesses require additional registrations, certifications, insurance thresholds. These are things that we can sit with you and show you and tell you where to go, where the resources are. Perfect example is general contractors, handymen. They have There's a general contractor registration required in New Jersey. There's certain certifications that are required for home health aides, and there are certain insurance thresholds required for general contracting work. Also, workers' compensation. Uh, that's something that we can sit and discuss and look at and see if that's something that is applicable to you and your business. And you'll need to identify a bank where you will open your business bank account. We always like to say start somewhere where maybe you already have an existing relationship with, and see what best deal that you can get for your business bank account. Certainly don't want to pay dues. It shouldn't cost you anything extra to have a business bank account. So be wary of any bank that wants you to come in and pay some sort of monthly payment in order to keep that bank account open. We'll talk about with you some of the funding and cash management for starting a business. What are your startup needs? What do you need day one in order to, open that door or make your first dollar in revenue? What would be the ongoing operating cash needs that you'll need to keep your business moving along? Um, Personal budget considerations. Have you thought about how much of your own money you're ready to contribute into your business? Do you need additional sources of capital? This is something we would sit with you and work through with you. Um, maybe you think you do, but you may not. Sometimes people get very excited in the beginning and they don't realize that we can start small, and then as you grow and as your operations continue, you can continue to invest in your business and do the additional items that you like to do. You don't have to do things from day one. You can, but sometimes it is very hard to get access to capital as a startup. So that's something that we definitely would talk you through. And, a little bit more about lending. We work with so many great banks and lenders who are here for the small business community. What are they looking for in terms of their lending? Of course, they're always going to want to see what experience you have in your business, what your credit rating is, and really important is how much of your own money, again, that personal capital investment that you're willing and ready to put into your own business at the start. We really encourage you to have an understanding of basic financial statements. This is the boring stuff. I get it. But you have to take your passion, you have to take your business and do great things with it. But at the same time, truly, if you want to be successful, please understand your income statement, understand your balance sheet, and understand your cash flow. That's what we're here for. We're here to teach financial literacy to the small business owner who may have an understanding of these items, but maybe that wasn't necessarily your major in college, or it wasn't something that you ever really thought too much about. The whole point of this is you want to make money, and understanding these basic financial statements will go a long way to being profitable business. And that's why all our webinars, our learning labs, these are the types of things that we'd love to, all free, mostly free. We'd love to be able to sit with you and help you understand at little to no cost. And that includes bookkeeping. QuickBooks. We run QuickBooks classes, which has been very popular. And you don't have to do QuickBooks initially. If you want to just, kind of keep track of all your finances in a notebook or an Excel spreadsheet, that's fine too. But understand it. Understand the money that's coming in and out of your business. And here are some links that you'll see. Business licenses and registrations, if and when you have to determine that you need anything in addition to what you are just in terms of in addition to just forming and registering. Sales tax requirements, what's taxable, what's not. How will you handle income taxes as self-employed individuals? How will you hire How will you handle hiring of employees? Do you want employees? Do you want independent contractors? What's the difference? These are all things that you would get assistance with a counselor from the SBDC. I believe if you fill out the survey following today's presentation, you will have access to these slides, and you'll be able to play around with these links and hopefully educate yourself some more. And then pretty much lastly, we're almost at the end. What additional needs do you really need to start your business? We're going to talk all about that. You don't have to have an accountant, but we always say, at a certain point in time, especially as you start, it's always good to know that you're doing it right. Many of us, will can give you some information as counselors. Some of us may be accountants, some of us may not be. But I would always say you want to make sure that you're speaking to someone who's fully in the know about what the latest and greatest tax deductible items are for small businesses. It changes. You want to take advantage to make sure that you are getting the best tax advice for your business as possible. We don't, necessarily say go out and spend all this money on lawyers. You may never need a lawyer, but a lot of times, when intellectual property is at stake, and you're talking trademarks and patents, and there are more complicated matters to what you're doing, we'll be honest and say, hey, you may want to speak to a small business attorney. You always want to make sure you're fully insured to protect yourself. If that means sitting with an insurance agent for an hour or two just to learn a little bit more about what the policies are and what's important and not important, that could be helpful for you. If you need lending and you want to talk to a bank or an SBA lending officer, you can go through us. We have great many relationships, and we can prep you so that you're ready for that step. We offer marketing and social media strategy. We could talk to somebody here, a strategist that might be able to, get you on the right path so that going forward, you can be cost effective in this area. It's very hard for small businesses, from the get-go to have all this money to spend. So what's the most lean and efficient way for you to market your business without breaking the bank? And we are here to be mentors. We are here to help you start, help you grow. And if we don't know the answers, we always try to point you in the right direction. We will remain a resource for you throughout. And we highly encourage you that if you want to start your business in the proper fashion, that you register for counseling and let us walk you through it, and we'll get you started properly. And then I think this is the last thing I'll say is additional services that we do offer are assistance with becoming New Jersey state certified in small business. It's women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. We now have we have veteran, disabled veteran, and the LGBTQ plus certifications for small businesses for the purposes of being ready and set to go if procurement or government contracting is something that you're interested in. We have great departments there to help you and counsel you through that process. Again, with SBA lending, the NJEDA, NJ Economic Development Authority, if I'm not mistaken, they are a tremendous resource. We work very closely with them. Very helpful for small businesses in terms of financing and incentives to grow your business. And that's something we can work with you. You may want to check out your local chambers of commerce and see if that's something that might help you as a small business in your community. And again, free to little cost educational program through the NJ SBDC. We're here for you. And I think that's it. If you're interested in making an appointment with me, or one of our colleagues, or even if you need a Spanish speaking person to walk you through the process, we can arrange for that as well. This is the QR code to register for counseling. And if not, we got the link down here as well, that you'll be able to go ahead and register. So with that, I'm going to turn the presentation back to Uzma.
All right, so that was a lot of valuable information. Um, yeah, take a breather, Vanessa. We can get to our Q&A.
Hope I wasn't too fast.
No, I think you were perfectly fine. But also, yeah, just before we get into our Q&A, a reminder for our participants is that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available on our website and our YouTube channel. So, see, look at that in the chat. You're getting your praises, so job well done. There you go. So yeah, our YouTube channel and our website, so it will be available there. And if you would like Vanessa's slides, then you can certainly fill out our survey that I've shared the link for, and you can get the PDF version when you finish the survey. All right, so let's get to our Q&A, and let me just share some final links for those who have to leave. And let's get to the Q&A. If anything comes, so okay, so there are questions coming up. Please put them in the Q&A box. We'll miss them if you put them in the chat. We'll go with in the order that the questions came in. And first is from Nicole. Hi, Nicole, thanks for your question. So we have, don't we have to pay a publishing fee, like having it printed in the newspaper? And I'm guessing this is referring to a fee that you mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint.
Yes, that's an excellent question. So every state is different with their rulings with respect to how an LLC is formed. Luckily, in New Jersey, that's not necessary. That is definitely necessary in New York. So you might have seen that or heard that from, I don't know if you're coming from New York or if you maybe read something. As far as, unless it's just changed this morning, then I would apologize. But in New Jersey, that is not required.
Awesome, question answered. Anonymous asks, do you know which banks are startup friendly?
I know which banks are not starter friendly. I will say this. I would avoid the large national banks. And this is why. And it's an excellent question. Regional small banks are the best way to go for a local small business. We noticed this significantly during COVID. It was very difficult with your Bank of Americas and your, Chase and all the big national names really had trouble assisting the small business owners during that crisis. So I would stick with your regional banks. I can name a few. Maybe it's something we'd want to talk more about offline, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of guidance. And you do not want to be penalized or have any sort of additional expenses as a small business owner when you open your bank account. So that should be first and foremost.
Got it. What's cool with this, with our Q&A session this time is that we have our audience helping out and answering questions to our other questions. So that's awesome. Thank you for that. All right, we have a question from Andre and Matt Wells answered it. Matt, if you're here, hi, thank you for being here. What is a SBA 7A loan and is it a forgivable loan? So Matt has answered that question, but Vanessa, if you want to add more information, you can see that question.
Yeah, the SBA has different types of loans. 7A is one of them, a very popular vehicle for small businesses. We can certainly go through all of that one-on-one through a counseling session. Very popular with startups. You'll see maybe some 7As as well as the microloan product, but each lender may have their own take on it and interest rates can vary. They're not forgivable. I mean, it's not, I mean, unless there's some sort of program that's somehow packaged together, but 7As are not, you know, you do have to pay them back. But usually it's over a longer period of time with more less down on the loan. It's supposed to be more small business friendly. Hopefully that's what Matt said.
Yeah, SBA program that runs through a lender or bank traditional loan is not forgivable like the PPP, for example.
Yes, it's not like a PPP. There's really not much like a PPP anymore.
Yep. Question from Monica. Does it matter which country you register for the trade name? Is there a website where we can check to see if the trade name is taken? And we have an answer from Andrew, who's linked the njportal.com, the business name search website.
Yes, for LLCs, the name just has to be unique within New Jersey. So that portal, you can do a business name search, and remember, it doesn't have anything to do with trademarking. It's a separate situation right now. Just to be able to go out there and start your business and pick a name, as long as you're cleared from that portal when you do your name search and it says it's available, you're good to go.
Got it. I'm not sure if I said country or county, but I definitely meant county.
Oh,
county.
A sole proprietorship, the trade name, it's called, remember, when you do a sole proprietorship, we're talking trade name. Then it just, I believe, has to be unique within that county. And the LLC has to be unique within the state.
Got it. Thank you. Okay, Jennifer asked, the business name is different from the doing business as name, correct?
Okay, so that's an excellent question, and I probably should have addressed that. When you form an LLC, you get your legal LLC name. You do not have to do this, but if you wish, you can also add a alternate business name, or sometimes referred to as a DBA, doing business as. That's not mandatory. It's not necessary. It may come up if you would like to have an umbrella LLC legal name, but say want to focus a certain part of your business, say on jewelry, and you want to have a separate name that identifies the jewelry or identifies the selling of the jewelry, you are allowed to select an alternate business name. It's not the legal name of your company, but you are allowed to operate under that, what we would call alternate business name. It differs a little bit from a trade. This is why terminology is so important. Trade name is usually you'll see it interchange, but basically a trade name, we refer to that terminology when you are going to the county and you just want to be able to call yourself something and be known as something, and that's when you go to the county to get your trade name certificate. And I hope that answers the question. It costs, okay, so in an LLC though, if you do the alternate business name, there's an additional charge. It's relatively inexpensive. I think it's $50 for 5 years. And then at the end of that 5 years, if you still like to keep that alternate business name, you may re-up that, for another 5 years. Very, very important is that your LLC legal name must match your tax ID number from the IRS. Those two have to be in sync. Okay. The trade name, when you go to apply for that EIN and the government asks what's the legal business name, you have to give the LLC legal business name. You'll see on the application, you may see something underneath it that says, do you have a trade name? You can say that, but you want to make sure your LLC legal business name matches your tax ID number.
All right, moving on to next question from Dr. Keisha is there any assistance and financial assistance to relinquish a business LLC?
To close the business? Is that what you mean?
I think so. Keisha, if you can expand on your question. And also, Vanessa, if some of the questions are, we can chat more about them offline, one-on-one with you and our audience, then, we can certainly take that into a counseling session.
Sure.
So just a heads up for our audience, if you'd like, if we don't answer your question, it's probably because, it requires more information and a lengthy answer. So please feel free to scan that barcode that you see. Not the barcode, the QR code, and it'll take you to the website that's displayed there, njsbc.com/startup, and you can register counseling there, and you can certainly have that one-on-one with Vanessa. Yes, so Keisha did mean LLC to close the LLC.
To close it, it costs $128 to close an LLC. It's done right online. I think your question is about asking if there's any sort of financial
assistance available to dissolve that
assistance
business.
to dissolve. Not that I'm aware of. It's basically an online process where you put your credit card number in, and the state will charge the 128, which is the same charge to open it as to close it. Now, some people abandon their LLC. I can't comment too much about that. I mean, if you just stop paying your dues and just kind of walk away, there's some risk there. I don't recommend that, but they do kind of ding you to officially close your business.
Got it. Hope that answers the question. If not, please let us know.
Yeah, we can talk offline.
Yep. Question from Anonymous. Does this cover the new 2024 LLC changes included in the CTA?
In the CTA?
Not sure what that means. All right, so Anonymous.
I would need more I would need a little clarification on the question.
Let us know in the chat, or put a follow-up question, comment on that. All right, so question from Wanda Lynn. Can you or do you have to create a separate LLC if you want to open, sorry, this moved away. If you want to open your business in 2 different states, example, in New Jersey and another one in New York, same type of business?
That's an excellent question. So, no, you do not have to. When you start an LLC in a state, and it is let's say, for example, it's in New Jersey, we call it a domestic LLC, meaning it's domestic to LLC. But say you're also going to transact business in New York, and you're going to be in there a couple of days a week, and you're going to physically be there and transact business. What you would do is register, or let me see, now I'm interchanging the form and register, but you would form what is known as a foreign. So you would take your business and you would go to the New York portal, and you can form what is known as a foreign LLC in New York and register to transact business in New York under your LLC umbrella. So it's not starting a new LLC. It's just taking your business and making sure you're legally able to transact in the other state. I hope that answers the question. Same thing with, say you have an LLC and you're residing someplace else, and say you live in New York and your LLC is in New York, and you want to do business in New Jersey, and maybe you're in New Jersey a couple of days a week, you're physically here, or you have a location. Same thing. You would apply on the portal for a New Jersey foreign LLC, and there's a charge, and actually it may be the 100. I'm not exactly sure how much it might be. It's not more than the $128. But what that does is it'll permits you to now transact business in New Jersey, and you can register as a foreign. Hope that answers. If not, you can follow up and we can talk about your specific situation.
Sounds good. Question from Samuel. What part of this resource can be used for people looking to acquire a business rather than start from scratch? I found this to be more profitable long term for the lender, and that's where I'm stuck.
Looking maybe to make an acquisition. Well, one of the things that we do help with, well, not, and I'm not suggesting this is where you're going with it. We do work with companies who are looking to purchase a franchise.
Mhm.
If you're looking to say maybe purchase just a business outright, it exists. You're still creating your own business. So somebody else may be running their business under their legal entity, maybe an established business, take a restaurant, for example, and you come in and you want to buy that restaurant. Well, there'll probably be some legal requirements there. You may need to hire a lawyer, but where we could really help is we have to still start your own, in many cases, your own LLC. This is your own shell company for you to acquire those assets, acquire that business. And we could assist you with that process. If there's financing involved, we could help you put together a business plan. We could help you put your projections together so that if you go for financing, you'll be able to show the lender all the projections of where you see the business going forward and what your contribution is. So, yes, I mean, the answer is absolutely. That's in many cases, it's still considered starting a business. It's because it's new for you. Doesn't mean that it's from scratch, but it's still new for you.
All right, we have a question from Crystal. Is there a step in the registration process? I thought I correctly registered and then went to get WMOV certification and couldn't get in.
Very common, very, very common. We will peel the onion, and I've done it a million times for people. We'll figure out what's not matching. Sometimes people, this is that example where sometimes you'll see that you're, and I don't know if this is in your situation. Did you mix up a trade name? Is your trade name not complete? Is your LLC legal name not matched to your EIN? A lot of times it just has to do with the system is not tying together your legal business entity with your tax ID number. That's usually the problem, and we figure it out. And then once we get it cleaned up, then you can go in and we can get all your certifications correct. But unless they're not matching in the state system, you'll never be able to get past that first login. And it happens all the time.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Question from Sheena. Is it difficult to flip your sole proprietorship to an LLC in New Jersey?
Excellent question. I love these questions because this is all so important. We do not flip sole proprietorships into LLCs. What you, if you would like to, if you have a sole proprietorship up until now, that's great. And you say you're ready for that next step. We start from scratch. The LLC formation requires a fresh EIN. So you're basically leaving one behind to start anew. And chances are you won't have an issue with hopefully carrying forward the name. You could do it, you have to go back, you have to look to see if the name's available on the state level. If it was available already to you as a sole proprietorship, hopefully it's not an issue on the state level. But there's no transitioning. An LLC would have to start from scratch, and you would have to get a new tax ID number.
Got it. Maya asks, what is the threshold amount for LLCs to be taxed as an S corp?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that, and I'll tell you why. It really has to do with your tax bracket. So I can give you an example, just roughly. Let's just say that you're an LLC owner and you're bringing in, maybe you're bringing in about 10, 20, 30,000, $40,000 a year. When you get to a point where you feel that the net income of the LLC is equivalent to what you would pay yourself as a salary, let's say if you were to be employed and now it's at that level, that's when you got to start asking questions, because you'd want to talk to your accountant, and basically you do the math. You run the tax program through. Okay, if I put this through as an LLC, let me see what my tax obligation is going to be. Hey, let's put it through as an S corp, and then you'll see. Okay, now we're at a point where I have more tax burden as an being taxed as an LLC as an S corp. The reason why I can't give you a specific number is because if you're filing jointly, say with a spouse, it's going to take into consideration, I think, your household income. And so that gets a little tricky. But to answer your question, when that number grows, meaning the net income number for your LLC, that's when it's time to start asking the question.
All right, so please request counseling with Vanessa if you'd like to talk in depth with this. I see many questions that are coming up that are asking about how to get a veterans certification or a woman-owned certification. Those are some things that, go ahead, Vanessa, you want to say something?
No, that we do that. That's something, make request counseling and we'll walk you right through it.
Exactly. So I'm just going to say that that's something that our network can certainly help with. Vanessa is here for business starts, so we'll keep that for Vanessa. But so what I'll do is I'll share the link that I've been sharing to request counseling, the one that you see on your screen. That's with Vanessa specifically. All the other questions that we're getting, like for the certifications and stuff, you can request counseling at our general request for counseling link, which I will share in the chat and also as responses to your questions. So please, you can ask those questions with other consultants separately, just not with Vanessa. We're reserving her for this very special business starts topic.
I will add, though, we do some really great learning labs where we'll
Yeah,
bring you in. We have some great procurement people, and you can learn a lot about that whole process.
exactly. We have webinars at which you can view at the website that I've shared on our YouTube channel, as well as our regional centers situated in those the map that you saw earlier when I was doing the introduction. You can request counseling from those regional centers, and they can certainly help you with that as well. All right, we have approximately 26 questions, Vanessa, and they keep coming. So
I'm
this is
fine.
certainly an interesting topic.
I'm glad. That's great.
Exactly.
Awesome.
All right, so next question is from Paul. Paul asks, how can we verify our business name on the national level instead of just state to ensure that we aren't infringing on national trademarks?
Okay, so going back to that process, there there is no national database for business names. So once again, if you want to form in the state, we look at the portal for the state. I understand your question because now we're getting into more trademark question because you want to form, but you also want to market yourself. And now everything is global and online, and you'll be doing business, and maybe selling things out in all parts of the country or counseling, whatever. And you don't want to compete with another business out there that may have the same name. So now we're talking about, if that's a concern, we're talking about possibly trying to trademark your name. That's where I refer to a lawyer. I've looked into myself in the past trying to see if I could assist clients on that trademark process. You can go to the government website. You can pull it right up. It costs maybe about $250 to start a trademark application. It's very complicated. And what I've learned is this is the one example that I would say maybe spend a little money, talk to a small business lawyer or a business consultant that has experience in doing these intellectual property. It requires a search. It requires sometimes a little bit of length of time. And if you do it wrong and you try to do it yourself, there's no, then you've done it wrong and you've spent that money and it hasn't done anything to protect you. So my knowledge of trademarks is that you have to prove that you're first, and you can pick a name. You're perfectly legal in New Jersey, and you can go off and do whatever you want with it. The burden is on the competitor to come after you if they find or feel that they were first with the name and they have the trademark to prove it. So that's as far as I really want to get into explaining that. We're really going to focus mostly in terms of my work in helping you form and register in New Jersey and legally be able to operate with your business name in New Jersey.
Right. And I see a helpful comment in the chat from Heather Lurch, who just mentioned that USPT offers a free webinar bootcamp series that's available for information about the process of trademarking.
Excellent.
That's definitely an excellent resource.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Heather. All right. So a question from Carla, who asks, how do I know if my business is still registered? I didn't know that I have to pay a monthly fee.
Okay, so I'm gonna break out. And anytime I hear terminology being interchanged, I'm gonna try to restate your question in that um, what you're referring to is maybe the annual dues. So what the question would be, how do I know if my business is still in good standing? So let's use that. We're in good standing. That's a terminology New Jersey would use. Good standing means that if you have an LLC, every year, usually around the anniversary of your formation, you are required to pay $75. If this is news to you and you have no idea what I'm talking about, you're not alone. Very often, if you paid somebody to set up your LLC, they just leave you in the lurch. They don't tell you that hey, you have a responsibility to keep your business in good standing, and each year you have to what is called file an annual report with the state and pay your dues. Now, filing an annual report sounds really scary, but it means logging into the portal and paying your dues. If the notification from the state is going to your registered agent and you have no idea who your registered agent is and nobody is calling you and saying, hey, your notice came in, then it's time to make an appointment with us. We'll show you how to log in, confirm that, the registered agent is someone you know, or you could change the registered agent to yourself. Make sure you're in good standing with your $75 per year. And then also, if you're not sure if you ever registered, we can look that up as well. There's no cost to register the business. The only cost in forming is the legal formation of that LLC, or the legal formation, that $50-$60 that you might do at the county clerk's office for the sole proprietorship, and same thing with the corporation. Once all the legalities are done, you have to, that third step is, I say third step because I also include the step of getting a tax ID, but that third step is going to the Division of Revenue and Enterprise Services and registering to transact and take your business and be able to transact business in the state of New Jersey. And that we can look up as well, but there's no cost in maintaining that or keeping that viable. You can set up an appointment if you have any further questions about that. We can look it up. I'll help you.
Awesome. Next question is from Alina. Using a virtual business address for a single member LLC, can that be a good choice to start?
Using a virtual
business address.
You asking if that's a good idea?
Yeah, good choice to start.
Oh, is it good? You can. It's a great question. Some people don't want to use their own personal home address. If you're a home-based business and they don't want their registered agent to be themselves, because that's something that you could look up, and you want to have a virtual. Okay, well, wait a second. There's two different things. I'm sorry. There's a virtual business address, which is that's what it is. Then there's the registered agent. which can also be virtual. So either one is fine. The only difference is that the registered agent has to have a physical location. So it can't be virtual in that it's just like an electronic based situation where mail, because mail has to go, physical mail has to go to a place. So so hopefully if I'm answering your question correctly, just in terms of adding a main business address, you can use a virtual address. Yes. Trying to differentiate between a business address and the registered agent address. They could be the same as long as it's a location. But if you just want to use the virtual, then that's fine. The registered agent has to have a location.
Got it. Yeah, let us know if that's helpful or you'd like to talk further. Next question is from Betsy. Are credit unions also good to open a small business bank account?
Yes. Yes, I've had many clients who have used credit unions.
Perfect. And next question is from Joelle, who says, you were mentioning funding. We are a minority startup team, husband and wife team. We are looking to get a business account and a line of credit to help procure supplies, etc. What is the best way to do that in Middlesex County?
Well, the process of financing for a startup would be the following. You would need a business plan. And that's something that our counselors do every day, help you get that business plan together. It doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be cumbersome, but it does have to answer the right questions for that lender. And we're very equipped and knowing of what should be included. You don't need to get overwhelmed by going online and finding 30-page, 40-page business plans. No, you just have to be able to outline certain criteria or certain information about your startup that would help the lender understand what you're doing, who your customers are, what your growth is going to be, how much money you're investing. And then when it comes to the lending piece, you want to be able to outline how much money it is you need to either borrow or perhaps ask for a line of credit and what that money is going to be used for. We help with all of that. You'll get assigned to a counselor and you'll have your projections. Hopefully you have assistance with that, and we can even make the introductions to the lender. So I hope that that helps.
Yeah. We can certainly
startups. Yeah, that's a.
Sorry to interrupt, Vanessa.
No,
I was
go
going
ahead.
to say that what's the best way to redirect you, Joel, is you can go to our, everyone's gonna be tired of hearing us saying this, but go to our website, njspeace.com. There is a contact us page or request counseling button that you'll see. Once you put in your email and there is a button that says which county are you located in or something similar, select Middlesex County and you'll be directed to that center's link and you can fill out the registration information there. Very simple. And ask exactly what you've just asked to us, and they'll assign you a consultant and they can speak with you and give you an answer, a proper answer. All right. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry, just a quick question from Sharice I see in the chat. Are all the services free? We legally cannot charge for our counseling. So yes, you can request counseling at no cost from NJSBC. Okay. Next question is from, let me just sort through since we do have 15 minutes left into our webinar. So any questions related to Vanessa, I'll sort through those. The rest, please reach out to events@njsbc.com and we can try to help you there. Okay, so we have a question from Nicole. Is it a bad business move to register a small business LLC in another state than where we actually plan to do business? Example, I live in New York, want to have my food cart in the city. Should I create my LLC in New Jersey?
And I'm sorry, this person lives in New York
Yes,
and
they want to have their food cart in New York City, but they're asking if it's a bad business move to still register their LLC in New Jersey.
there would be no reason to register. Corporations are different, but the LLC is really state driven. If you live in a state and you're going to work in that state, and that's your going to be the primary source of or the primary revenue generator, I would think that that's where your LLC should be domesticated, and that's the terminology we use. Domestic to the state that you live in and work in. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about corporations where, oh, it's more tax advantageous to do maybe get a corporation in Delaware because of their tax rates. So, because we're talking about corporate tax rates for the LLC. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but where you live and where you work should really dictate where you form your LLC.
Got it. Thank you for that. Question from Kristen. Does a DBA cause any complications?
Well, if your DBA isn't, if no, I mean, the answer is no. A DBA doesn't cause any complications. If anything, it's meant to be a helpful tool. I'm only laughing because sometimes we see it's like